I never thought a $20 doll could mean so much, but to my 8-year-old daughter, Ava, that doll was everything she'd counted down for. Every loose coin she found in couch cushions, every dollar she earned helping me fold laundry for neighbors, every week she patiently asked, "Are we almost there yet, Mom?" And the day she saw it sitting on the shelf, the brown-haired doll with a tiny blue dress and soft cotton shoes, Ava pressed her hands to her cheeks like she'd seen magic. "That's her," she whispered. "That's the one I dreamed about." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. I bought it with her savings and a little extra, I added quietly. When the cashier handed her the small paper bag, Ava hugged it to her chest like she was holding a living thing. In the car, she lifted the doll gently from the wrapping. "Mom," she breathed, "she smells like new things." Her voice trembled. I've never had a new doll before. That sentence alone nearly broke me. I should have taken her home. I should have driven anywhere else. But my mom had demanded, not asked, that we come over that evening. She said it was family dinner. But that never meant togetherness. It meant control. I prayed she wouldn't notice the doll. But the moment we walked into my parents' house, my mom's eyes went straight to Ava's arms like she was scanning for contraband. "What's that?" she snapped. Ava tightened her grip. "It's my doll. I saved for her." My mom didn't smile. She didn't soften. Her mouth curled like she smelled something rotten. "You wasted money on that?" she said to me, ignoring Ava completely. My father walked in from the dining room, arms crossed, already irritated. "More pointless junk. Figures." I pulled Ava gently behind me. "She paid for most of it herself. Please don't." "That's the problem," Mom hissed. "You're teaching her to want things she doesn't deserve." Before I could react, my sister's son, my 10-year-old nephew, Logan, ran into the room, saw the doll, and sneered, "Why does she get a toy? Grandma never buys me anything." Ava's shoulders immediately hunched, like she needed to make herself smaller. She whispered, "I saved for her. She's mine." My mom stepped forward. I froze. Ava froze. Mom reached down and snatched the doll straight out of her hands. Ava gasped, the tiny sound children make when something precious is ripped away. "Grandma, please," she whispered, reaching out instinctively, but my mom held the doll by the head like it was trash she'd picked up with rubber gloves. "You don't get to have this," she snapped. "Trash doesn't get nice things." My heart dropped straight through the floor. "Mom," I said, voice shaking, "give it back. She earned it." Dad scoffed. "Earned? Ha! Kids like her don't earn anything. They take, just like her mother." Ava's little chin trembled. "I didn't take anything." She took one hesitant step forward, hands out, but my mother turned away from her and walked toward the living room fireplace. "Mom," I said sharply, "don't you dare! Don't—" She didn't even turn around. She opened the metal screen. The fire crackled loudly, flames dancing like they were waiting. I sprinted toward her, but my father grabbed my arm. His fingers dug into my skin. "Let her do it," he growled. "Maybe the girl will learn something." "Let me go," I screamed, twisting, but he held me in place. Ava ran forward, voice cracking. "No, Grandma, no, please, that's my doll. I saved." My mom looked right at her. Dead eyes. A cruel smile, and she tossed the doll into the fire. Just like that. A quick flick of her wrist, a soft thump against the burning logs, a flash of blue melting into orange. Ava screamed. The sound that ripped out of her was pure heartbreak, sharp, trembling, raw, the kind of scream that doesn't come from pain, but from something being stolen so violently that it shatters part of you inside. "No, no, no!" she cried, reaching toward the flames as I tore myself free from Dad's grip. I grabbed her before she could get too close. She collapsed into me, shaking uncontrollably. "Mommy," she sobbed into my shirt. She burned my doll." My tears were already falling into her hair. "I know, baby, I know." Behind us, Mom brushed off her hands like she'd just taken out the trash. "She should learn nothing good stays with trash," she said coldly. Better she knows it now. Logan laughed beside her. Grandma, do it again. Burn more stuff. Dad smirked at Ava's cries. Spoiled kids need reality checks. Ava pressed her face deeper into my stomach, muffling her sobs. Mommy, why does she hate me? I didn't do anything. My throat locked. I couldn't breathe. She was 8. She had saved every coin she found. She had held that doll like it was hope. And they burned it because cruelty made them feel powerful. I slowly lifted my head and looked at them. My parents, standing in the yellow glow of the fire, laughing like arsonists admiring their work. My mother crossed her arms. Stop looking at us like that. We're teaching her. Dad added, If you don't like it, leave, but don't expect us to babysit her again. Ava sobbed harder, fingers clutching my shirt like she was afraid someone would rip me away too. And that was when something inside me finally severed. Not cracked, not bent. Severed, completely. I stood up slowly, lifting Ava into my arms. Her tears soaked my collar as she whispered, I just wanted her. I just wanted something good. I held her closer. I know. My mother rolled her eyes. Oh, please, she'll live. No, I said quietly, my voice flat and shaking. Not with you. My father frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer, because in that moment, standing in front of the fire where Ava's dream melted into ash, I already knew what Section 2 would become. I knew what would happen next. I knew I would never let them touch her future again. And I knew the day they burned her doll was the day I started burning every bridge that kept us in their reach. I carried Ava out of that house like she was made of glass. She clung to my shoulder the entire walk to the car, her tiny hands twisted into my shirt so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She was shaking so hard I could feel her heartbeat through her ribs. When I tried buckling her in, she didn't want to let go. Her voice was barely a whisper. Mommy, can we please go home? Please don't let them touch me. My chest tightened. Baby, I'll never let them touch you again. She nodded, eyes red and swollen, but she still kept glancing back at the house like she was afraid someone would come running out to snatch her. When we drove off, she pressed her forehead to the window and cried silently. The kind of crying that comes in waves, the kind that hurts to watch. Halfway home, she said something that broke me in half. Mommy, did Grandma burn her 'cause she hates me? I had to pull the car over 'cause my hands were trembling too much to drive. I turned and held her face gently. Ava, listen to me. There is nothing wrong with you. You didn't deserve that. You didn't deserve any of it. She swallowed hard. But she said nothing good stays with trash. I froze. The words sat in the air like poison. Ava, I whispered, you are not trash. You are the best thing in my life. Her lip trembled again. Then why did she do it? I didn't have an answer that wouldn't destroy her even more, so I just held her. When we got home, she ran straight to her room and sat on the floor beside her small bookshelf. There was an empty spot where she had been saving space for the doll, a tiny gap between 2 picture books. She stared at it, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. That's where she was supposed to sleep, she whispered. I sat down next to her. I know. I was going to brush her hair every night, she continued, voice cracking. I was going to teach her how to sit on the pillow right. I was going to love her. Something deep inside me snapped so quietly I almost didn't feel it. But once it broke forever. Ava curled into my lap, her small shoulders shaking. I wrapped my arms around her, rocking her gently. Then my phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I did. Mom, stop raising her like she's special. Dad, if she cries again, don't bring her back. It's embarrassing. Mom again. And bring that girl tomorrow. Logan wants something else to play with. My stomach turned. I scrolled further. Mom, be grateful we're trying to teach her early. She needs to learn life takes things away. Dad, you spoil her. That doll was doing her a favor by burning. Ava, still crying, whispered, Are they mad I got the doll? I turned off the phone and pulled her closer. No, I said. They're mad I don't let them control us. But she didn't understand that. She was 8. She only understood that something precious was taken from her by the people who were supposed to protect her. Later that night, after she finally fell asleep with her face buried in my pillow, I went back to the living room. The house was quiet, too quiet. I sat on the couch and stared at the dark TV screen. My hands were trembling. My jaw ached from clenching it for hours. My heart felt like it was lodged in my throat. I kept hearing Ava's scream. I kept seeing the doll burning. I kept seeing my mother's face, cold and satisfied, like cruelty was a lesson she was proud to teach. And then, I started gathering things, not dramatically, not angrily, just calmly, in a way that scared even me. I took photos of Ava's empty bookshelf. I took photos of the charred ashes on her coat sleeve. I took screenshots of every message my parents had ever sent. I saved voice recordings from past insults I'd ignored. I saved the voicemail where Mom called Ava a parasite with pigtails. I saved the text where Dad said, "Kids like her turn into nothing anyway." I collected everything, piece by piece. Every word they thought would disappear. Every action they thought had no consequence. Not because I wanted revenge yet. Not because I wanted to start a war. But because I finally understood something I should have realized a long time ago. My parents weren't just toxic. They were dangerous. Not in a dramatic, violent way, but in a slow, quiet, soul-killing way. The kind that makes a child believe they are unworthy of love. The kind that scars you in places no one sees. And Ava, she was too gentle, too sweet, too soft. She wouldn't survive them. I knew what I had to do, protect her, permanently, legally, completely. But that meant crossing a line I'd always been too scared to approach. It meant taking away something my parents valued more than money, power, or pride, control. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't scared of what they'd do. I was scared of what they'd already done. Their messages buzzed in again. Mom, you better bring her tomorrow. Dad, we own this family. Don't forget it. I stared at the screen and felt nothing. Not fear, not guilt, just clarity. Because now I had everything I needed, and Section 3 would be the moment I made sure they never touched my daughter again. The next morning, Ava was still asleep when I left for 2 hours. I didn't wake her. I didn't tell my parents anything. I didn't warn them. I just took the file I had built, the screenshots, the photos, the voicemail, the messages, the image of that charred sleeve. And I went where I should have gone years ago. The Child Protection Office. The woman behind the desk read everything in silence. Her eyes narrowed when she saw the photos. She replayed the voicemail twice. When she reached the message where my mom wrote, "Nothing good stays with trash," she looked up at me sharply. "This is emotional abuse," she said, "and destruction of a child's property, and intentional psychological harm." "I know," I said quietly. Then she said the words that changed everything. "We can file an emergency family safety restriction today." It meant no contact, no visits, no access, no manipulation, no more control. I signed every line. Then I went to the county office and filed a parental boundary enforcement order, something most people don't even know exists, limiting my parents' right to contact me or my child without written permission. I included every message, every timestamp, every insult. The clerk read it and said, "With this documentation, they don't stand a chance." Next, I went to a lawyer to finalize it all. By noon, everything was filed, stamped, and active pending review. By 1 p.m., my parents were pounding on my door. Ava ran toward me, panic in her eyes. "Mommy, don't let them take me." I lifted her into my arms. "They're not taking anything from us ever again." My dad shouted from outside, "Open this door right now." I walked outside, calmly with Ava on my hip. Mom's face twisted as soon as she saw me. "Where were you all morning? We've been calling." I held up the envelope. She paused. Dad stepped closer. "What is that?" I handed him the first page. "The emergency restriction order." He scanned the top line. His jaw dropped. What "What is this?" he stammered. "It means you're not allowed within 100 feet of my daughter," I said. "Or me." Mom ripped the paper from him and read faster, her eyes widening with every sentence. "You filed this? Against us?" "Yes." Dad shook his head like he was dizzy. No, this can't be legal. We're family." "It's legal," I said. "And it's active." Mom's voice cracked. "You're lying. They wouldn't approve this." I handed her the second document, the petition for long-term restrictions, detailing every message she had ever sent me. The one where she called Ava trash. The one where she bragged about teaching her a lesson. The one where she demanded I bring Ava back so Logan could play with her things again. Her face drained of color. "You saved those?" she whispered, horrified. "I saved everything," I said. "All of it." Dad stepped forward, panic rising now. "Undo it. Fix this. You can't cut us out." "I didn't cut you out," I said. "You did." Mom tried a different tactic, the begging tone she only used when consequences hit. "Maya, please. We were just trying to teach her." "You burned her doll," I said, voice flat. "And now you burned every bridge you had." Ava buried her face into my neck, gripping me tighter. Mom reached out slowly, like she could undo it with touch. "Let me talk to her." I stepped back. "You won't be speaking to my daughter again." Dad's voice rose in desperation. "You can't just take her away from us." "I'm not taking her away," I said calmly. "I'm protecting her." Then I handed them the final envelope, the formal notice that any further contact attempts would be treated as harassment and reported immediately. Mom's hand shook so hard the paper rattled. "You're destroying this family," she hissed. "No," I said, pulling Ava inside. "You destroyed it the moment you threw her doll into the fire." They both stood there on my porch, stunned, breathless, pale, shaking like the control they'd held for decades had been ripped right out of their fingers, and for the first time in my entire life. They couldn't bark orders, they couldn't guilt me, they couldn't manipulate anything, they had no power. Ava watched them from my arms and whispered, "Mom, are they gone?" I shut the door. "Yes," I said softly, "they're gone." She rested her head on my shoulder and breathed for the first time all day, a long, shaky exhale that sounded like relief finally found a home. And that was the moment I knew. They didn't just lose the right to burn her doll. They lost the right to burn anything in her life ever again. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.